Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week on the Cyclekart I'm going to make a start on the steering wheel. See you in a minute. Now it may seem totally wrong to be starting on a steering wheel when you haven't even started a chassis on a car. There's a couple of mitigating circumstances to it. Firstly, I haven't got all the materials I need at the moment, and I'm sort of kicking my heels up waiting for stuff to arrive. So I thought I'd just make a start and get something started. I like to make things, and at the moment I can't because I'm hanging around waiting for parts. So that's the first one. Second one, although it's bit premature, it does unlock a lot of other bits and pieces that I need to get designed and sorted out, as we'll see when we make a start on it. So let's have a look. There's a bit of stuff arrived. We'll have a look at that and see where we're going with it. Now, one of the problems or situations you get with a build like this, where you're ordering components a long time in advance because of delivery times, and when you see something you think you'll need, you order it before you actually do need it. And such is the case, I think, with this. It's finally just arrived. It's been ordered probably a couple of months now, and it's arrived when I'm halfway through sorting out this front suspension stuff that arrived yesterday. But I'm hoping it will unlock a lot of other things. It's difficult with some things. You know roughly where you're going, but until you've got certain components you can't nail down exactly what you need to order for the rest of it. And such is the case with this, which is the steering wheel boss. I want a quick disconnect boss because there isn't a lot of room in the car for you to get in and out with the steering wheel in place. So I've got this, which is a shaft which attaches to the steering column. That will attach to the steering wheel, and in theory, well, I can get it right way around. That's it, that goes on and then it locks on in place. Then once it's on, it won't just pull off unless you push that button. And the reason I needed it was to establish a couple of things. It's no good starting work on steering columns unless you know what size the column needs to be. So that's the first thing to establish, that the material I use for the column will need to be 19mm outside diameter. Got my little book that I keep all of my notes in, and right at the back I've got a thing of things I need to order, and so we can now put on 19mm outside diameter tube or rod, bar, I'm not sure. I'll query on that one. Can sort the length out later, but that's the first thing. And then the other thing is I want to make my own steering wheel, and to do that I needed to get a rough idea of what the boss size was, so that I could establish a centre that wasn't, I didn't want to end up with a centre that was too small. That is in fact 58mm diameter. So if we start a separate page for the steering wheel, oh, I've done one already. I've already got one here. Steering wheel 310mm diameter, boss size. Now I've got 50mm down there, and that's precisely why I needed to get this bit of kit, because if I've got a 50mm diameter boss, the holes that fix the wheel to the removable boss would be actually almost right on the edge. So in fact it's going to need to be at least 60, I would suggest, so we can correct that. 60 millimeters. And now I can sort out and get some different materials to get that from. What I'm thinking at the moment is that the Austin 7 Racer steering wheel is a Blue Mols wheel with 5 thin spokes connected together in 4 directions, so you've got 20 of these things radially coming out around it in 4 bunches of 5, I mean. And what I'm hoping to do, I think, is to get a circle, and for the centre fixing I will router just under half the depth coming out in straight lines, a half round, and I'll do the same on 2 discs with routering going out like that, 5, and I may change, I'm not sure yet whether or not scaling it down will make the 5 too big, and whether I actually end up doing 4, I don't know. But that's what I will be doing. Router a half groove in that, router a half groove in that, and then sandwich the 2 together, and that will trap all of those bars at that end. I'll worry about the rim end later on as to how I do that. At the moment I've just got on order some stainless steel rod, and I'll see how that goes when I get it, as to how strong it will be. It may be I end up having to abandon all these ideas, because until you get the material you don't know whether it's going to be substantial enough to work. But that's the Boss, again another mini milestone, that in fact this is the start of the whole of the steering exercise, because from there I can now sort out a bearing for the top mount, bearing for the bottom mount, because I know what size the tube will be, and I've got to sort out a pair of pitman arms that I'll probably make, I don't know. I'm rapidly coming to the conclusion that despite what I said about not welding anything, it may be cost effective for me to get myself a small welder to just do bits and pieces like the pitman arms onto the shaft, brackets, front beam to mount these steering arms on the front, to weld that together, get a small MIG, things like that, that if I keep going out and getting them done, it'll probably cost just as much in the long run, and at the end of it I won't have the flexibility to be able to just cut and alter something. Every time I look at anything on this, like shock absorbers and things, I'm going to need to make some sort of bracketry where the radius arms come out of the chassis. I've got a 45-degree mount to make, or to get made, so I think we'll get ourselves a small gasless MIG or something, and brush up on our welding skills that are pretty minimal at the moment. But let's never mind that, get on with designing the steering wheel. So I'm just transferring I've got the drawing section of the cockpit with the dashboard in it. It's like a plan view looking down on it. I'm just transferring all the dimensions of the steering wheel across to a spare bit here, so that I've got some sort of an idea of what it will look like. It's about 320mm diameter, 25mm rim, should be about right. And I know from the Boss that I've just got that I want something like a 60mm Boss, so we'll set that at 30mm, run that in the middle. Doesn't help having the sellotape on, but this is only an approximation. We can fill the lines in roughly. So then we'll run spokes out that way. I think I'm working on about 3mm. So we'll have 3mm spokes. 1, 2, 3. And they'll go out that way. And we want 5 of those, so I'm assuming what I'll do now is quickly refer to a drawing or a picture of the real thing, and then we can get some idea of spacing. Yeah, they actually taper from the centre to the rim. So if I start with a 4mm at the edge, perhaps, or 3mm, we'll start with 3mm. 1, 2, 3, and we'll work to 2mm at this end. And then that will give us a line there. 3.5mm. 3mm. Sorry. And a repeat on the other side. We'll see how this looks when I've finished the whole thing. So I think that gives me a rough idea of where it will go. There's a small bar about 25 or 30mm out from the centre of the wheel. I think in reality, and I need to go back and check very closely with the real thing, that actually the bars come out dead straight and parallel, and then from that point where they go through a round tube, they then taper from there outwards, but I can check that out. And as I mentioned before, the spokes will be trapped in the middle between 2 layers of aluminium there, and when we get to the rim, I'll probably either cut out a housing in an aluminium circle to fit them into, and then they'll be clamped by the wooden rim itself. The real 7 rim is a black Bakelite or plastic rim. I may well go with that for authenticity, or I may go for a wooden one because that's more interesting, I think. Right, another day, another parcel to unlock. Well, the thing about building the Cyclekart is that I'm back to getting loads and loads of parcels all the while. And you lose track of what you've ordered. These are, yeah, stainless steel for the steering wheel. I need spokes. They seem to be fine. I was afraid they might not be strong enough, but there's plenty of strength in there. These go together in groups of about 5. It's interesting though, if you go onto eBay or whatever and look up 3mm stainless steel rod, which is what this is essentially, it works out, even if you're buying like 10, which is what I've got here, at about £2.50 a piece, which was going to be what I considered to be unduly expensive for a steering wheel. Not that it's not worth it, I suppose, but I just didn't want to spend that much money on something that was basically a bit of eye candy rather than functional. However, I had to think about it and had a look, and this is actually, instead of 3mm stainless steel rod, this is 3.2mm filler rod for TIG welding, and it's perfectly acceptable and perfectly good, and that is £5.50 for 10. So that's saved us £1 or £2 on that. And what I need to do is roughly split them, as I say, into 5s. They'll be cut in half coming out from the boss out, and I've got some aluminium, I think, on order to do the little round bosses that go across them with holes drilled through that just hold it all together. And 24 hours later, the next instalment of goodies has arrived, and I think this is the last piece of the puzzle that we need for the steering wheel column. This should be a square of aluminium, which I ordered a couple of days ago, and which I hope, no, it's a circle of aluminium. I can't remember what I ordered now. Circle of aluminium, that is the steering wheel outer diameter, 320mm. So that saves me an immediate job of routering the circle out. I couldn't remember what I'd ordered. What will happen now is that I'll mark on that the rim shape, together with where the spokes are going to come in, and there'll be a small piece cut like that. Then just cut all the middle out. What I can do, I think, is to drill those points there so that we get the radius, and then I can use the router with a circle cutting jig to actually router out the main parts of the rim so that we get a reasonably consistent finish. What I'm going to do then with these rods is cut out 5 slots into the rim, or if it's too small and I don't quite know how this will work, just cut out one big groove. Now these rods are 3.5mm thick. The actual rods are 3.2, so they're almost within spitting distance, the same thickness. So they'll actually sit in there, and what I'll do is flood that with epoxy, and when that has set for those spokes in the right positions, I can get timber cut to that profile in 4 sections. I think it'll have to be done into 4, that will overlap and trap it either side, so it will not only be glued in, it will be hammered in either side with rivets through the wood rim. I think, although it's non-prototypical, I am going to go for a wood rim wheel, I think, because I like the idea of a hardwood rim with brass rivets through it. Right, first job on the circle is to establish a centre. Just got a right angle square there. If I get a 45 degree off that, run that way, that should give me centre line that way. And we do the same, just rotate it a bit. Repeat. Could probably measure it, but this should give me the answer I want. Close enough for what we need anyway. Same again, rotate it again. That's it, that gives me a centre point there. And we'll drill a small hole for that. That will then hold down the router jig when I've got it on a circle cutting jig. Right, now that drill is a special size, or a matched size to the router jig that I've got. That fits in the middle there like that. And what will happen now is that I'll mount the router in here, and then set that to, with the router itself probably on the outside first. That will true the thing up completely. It does mean that I can just confirm exactly how the diameter is within regard to the centre. And then when that's been done, I'll drill holes at the intersections where the spokes would be meeting the rim, and then set this up with a diameter that will mean I can just swing it round between the holes and router out the inner side of the rim. I had no need to keep all 4 spokes in, I can just keep 2 in. But it does mean that when I come to get the wheel itself with a rim on it, I can mount it on that spindle again. Just going to true up the edge of this steering wheel so that I know that the outside circle is exactly concentric with the centre point, and then that will enable me to get the rim trimmed out. So I've just set the router in the router jig, set the distance roughly right, and we'll just work our way in until it cuts all the way around. Right, so I've hogged out the middle of that just with the jigsaw. I've left that cross piece in because that's what I'm going to be able to rotate it, fix that down and rotate it on the router table. What I can now do is set up the router table with a cutter to just do these inside quadrants, get those sorted out. I'll hand file up the last 4 bits where the spokes come in, but that will... Well, with a bit of mess, that's essentially proved the concept that we can do pretty much what we want to with aluminium with woodworking tools. That's the main rim now sorted. The actual shaping around the spokes I'll finish off by hand, but we've now got a rim of pretty much the same circularity all the way around, same width. It's about 20 mil, I'm guessing. 22. So we'll then just sandwich either side of that with timber and then run a half round or a quadrant type router bit around that to make the steering wheel round. Right, well that's got the metal parts of the steering wheel rim itself, the actual wheel, pretty much sorted now. A few weeks time I'll carry on and get the rim sorted, the wood rim part, and then we'll probably do a third one which will deal with the spokes and all the hub stuff that I need to design, so it'll be something that happens over the next few weeks. But at least now I've got something started. We have actually made a physical start on making something for the cart. Hope you enjoyed the video. Look forward to seeing you next time. We'll see you probably next week, I hope. I'll see you then. Take care. Bye.